Welcome to our deep dive. This time, we're looking at a unique way to support Ukraine, combining holiday cheer with tangible aid.
Interesting.
Yeah, we've got e-commerce product descriptions, mission statements, even reflections on, like the impact of a handwritten note.
Hmm.
It's all about how this company, how they're making a difference, and maybe sparking some ideas for us too.
What's fascinating is this company, Ukraine Boost APS, like, built around the idea that small actions, even small actions, can have a big impact.
Okay.
Founded by Christian Ingolf Christensen,
Okay.
a Danish entrepreneur who really believes in the power of individual contributions.
So like everyone can make a difference.
Exactly, like raindrops, slowly wearing down a stone.
I love that. But before we get too deep into metaphors, tell me, like, how does Ukraine Boost actually help?
So their mission focuses on three key areas:
Okay.
directly supporting the Ukrainian army, contributing to humanitarian aid, and bolstering the Ukrainian economy.
Mhm.
They're very committed to transparency, making sure that the aid reaches those in need without getting lost, to corruption or bureaucracy.
Yeah, that's crucial, especially when you're talking about a country actively at war.
Right.
Speaking of which, Ukraine Boost has a rather unexpected way of raising funds, Christmas cards. But these aren't your typical drugstore variety, are they?
Not at all. What's interesting is how they've taken these like classic Christmas images,
Uh-huh.
and subtly woven in these themes of hope and resilience,
Mhm.
which are incredibly relevant to Ukraine's situation right now.
Yeah.
They offer a range of designs,
Okay.
from a charming scene of children, walking hand in hand toward a Christmas tree
Hmm.
in a snow-covered village,
Okay.
to a classic Santa Claus flying over snowy mountains under a crescent moon.
It sounds like they've got something for everyone.
They really do.
But instead of going through each design individually, can you tell me what makes these cards unique beyond the imagery?
So one key aspect is their commitment to sustainability.
Okay.
All the cards are printed on demand,
Okay.
meaning they only produce what's ordered.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it might mean slightly longer shipping times,
Yeah.
but it reduces overproduction and waste,
Yeah, that makes sense.
which is a big deal in today's world.
Yeah.
Fast fashion and instant gratification and all that.
That's a powerful statement. It seems like they're really trying to walk the walk when it comes to their values.
Definitely.
But they're not just selling cards, right? They're also advocating for a return to handwritten greetings.
Exactly. And this isn't just about nostalgia for a bygone era.
Right.
Think about it. In today's digital world, Christmas greetings are often just like, quick emails or fleeting social media posts.
Yeah, you just like click and
Yeah.
send like Merry Christmas to everyone.
Exactly. But a handwritten card, that requires effort, right?
Yeah.
Choosing the card,
Yeah.
composing a personal message,
Yeah.
physically putting it in the mail.
Putting in the effort.
That effort translates into meaning for the recipient.
It's like choosing a slower, more intentional pace in a world that's constantly rushing us forward.
Yes.
But I have to admit, as someone who usually opts for, the ease of digital greetings, I'm curious to hear more about the specific benefits
Sure.
they highlight. Why should we consider making the switch?
Well, they argue that a handwritten card, it becomes a tangible keepsake, something to be saved and cherished.
Okay.
Unlike a digital message that just disappears into the ether.
Right into the cloud.
Right, exactly. And there's something powerful about that physicality, right?
Hmm.
Holding something in your hand
Yeah.
that someone else took the time to write just for you.
Yeah.
It creates a different kind of intimacy and connection.
It's almost like a physical embodiment of a memory.
Yeah.
A tangible reminder of a relationship.
Absolutely.
So by sending a handwritten card, we're not just sending a greeting, but a gesture
Right.
that speaks to a deeper level of care and connection.
Exactly. And in a world where we're constantly bombarded with digital information,
Constantly.
that kind of genuine connection, that tangible expression of thoughtfulness, it becomes even more valuable.
It cuts through the noise and says, "You matter to me."
Exactly.
That's a powerful message, especially during a season that's often so hectic and commercialized.
Yeah.
It makes me think about the importance of intentionality,
Mhm.
of being mindful about how we connect with the people we care about.
Absolutely. And Ukraine Boost, they don't just talk the talk. They offer practical tips for actually putting this into practice.
Okay, like what?
They encourage starting small, focusing on a few important people,
Okay.
and setting aside dedicated time for writing.
Mm-hmm.
It's about quality over quantity, thoughtfulness over haste.
So instead of trying to send out like 100 generic cards,
Right.
they're suggesting we focus on a few, truly meaningful connections.
Exactly.
It's like they're saying, choose your raindrops carefully and let them make a real impact.
That's a great way to put it. It's about being mindful and intentional with our actions,
Yeah.
even in something as simple as sending a holiday greeting.
It's fascinating how they've managed to connect something seemingly simple like a Christmas card to these profound ideas
Right.
about human connection, sustainability, and individual impact.
Yeah.
But before we get too philosophical, I'm curious to learn more about the founder himself.
Okay.
What can you tell us about Christian Inglof Christensen and what led him to create Ukraine Boost?
Well, his story is a great example of how personal values can translate into real-world action.
Hmm.
Christensen has always been deeply committed to the idea of freedom, both personally and globally.
Okay.
He sees war as the ultimate denial of freedom,
Hmm.
the imposition of one person's will upon another through force.
So when Russia invaded Ukraine, it was a direct assault on everything he believes in.
Exactly. And instead of feeling helpless or overwhelmed, he decided to channel his passion and skills into creating something positive. Ukraine Boost was born out of that desire to make a tangible difference, to stand up for the values he holds dear.
It's a powerful reminder that we all have the power to take action, even in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges.
Right.
And it's especially inspiring given that he didn't come from a position of vast wealth or political influence.
Hmm.
He simply saw a need and decided to do something about it.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, did he ever share any specific experiences that shaped his worldview, or is his passion for freedom something he's always felt strongly about?
Well, he actually does mention a key influence in his statement on Ukraine Boost's website.
Oh, okay.
He references a Danish priest and poet who wrote a song about how tiny, insignificant raindrops can, over time, wear down a stone.
It's that powerful image of persistence and collective action again.
Yeah.
So is he saying that he sees Ukraine Boost and these Christmas cards as his way of contributing those raindrops to the fight for freedom?
That's exactly it. He believes that every act of support, no matter how small, contributes to a larger force for change,
Oh, okay.
and that collective effort can eventually erode the obstacles facing Ukraine and pave the way for a brighter future.
It's a message of hope and empowerment that reminds us that we all have the power to make a difference,
Yeah.
even in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges.
Hmm.
But I'm wondering, is this just a metaphor, or does he specifically explain how Ukraine Boost intends to use these raindrops
Okay.
to create real change on the ground in Ukraine?
That's a great question, and one that leads us directly into the heart of their mission.
Okay.
They have a very clear and specific plan
Mm.
for how they intend to use the funds raised through their cards to support Ukraine in those three key areas we discussed earlier.
I'm eager to hear more about that plan. Let's dive into the specifics of how they're translating those raindrops into tangible action.
Absolutely. Let's start by looking at how they're directly supporting the Ukrainian army, which is engaged in a very real and demanding conflict.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting.
Their aid goes beyond just providing, like basic protective gear.
So they're not just sending helmets and vests.
Not at all. They're helping to provide things like drones for reconnaissance and defense,
Wow.
computers for communication and strategic planning,
Okay.
and various other supplies needed to, effectively counter a much larger and better equipped adversary.
That's incredible. They're really trying to make a strategic impact, not just a symbolic gesture,
Right.
but they're also focused on humanitarian aid, right?
Of course.
After all, it's not just soldiers who are impacted by war.
Exactly. Ukraine Boost recognizes that conflict has devastating consequences for civilians,
Yeah.
and their humanitarian efforts are focused on providing immediate relief to those most affected by the fighting. This includes things like food, water, shelter, and medical supplies for those displaced by the conflict or living in areas that have been heavily damaged.
It's about addressing those basic human needs that are so often disrupted by conflict.
Exactly.
And what about their efforts to bolster the Ukrainian economy? It seems like that's a more long-term goal focused on rebuilding and revitalizing the country.
That's exactly right. Ukraine Boost is taking a multifaceted approach to supporting the Ukrainian economy.
Okay.
One way is by promoting and selling Ukrainian-made products.
Oh, interesting.
This could range from, handcrafted goods by local artisans to products manufactured within Ukraine.
So it's about creating jobs and stimulating economic activity within the country.
Exactly. It's about fostering a sense of normalcy and self-sufficiency,
Okay.
helping Ukrainians rebuild their lives and their livelihoods.
Hmm.
It's not just about providing aid, it's about empowering them to stand on their own 2 feet.
It's a holistic approach that addresses both the immediate needs created by the conflict
Right.
and the long-term goal of building a stronger, more resilient Ukraine.
Yes.
But as we discussed earlier, transparency is crucial in these kinds of efforts.
Mm.
How does Ukraine Boost ensure that their contributions are actually reaching those in need
Okay.
and not getting lost in a web of bureaucracy
Yeah.
or worse, falling prey to corruption?
That's where their commitment to direct giving comes in.
Okay.
They work directly with trusted organizations and individuals on the ground in Ukraine.
So it's about like cutting through the red tape
Yeah,
and getting resources directly to those who need them most.
exactly.
That makes a lot of sense, especially given the concerns about corruption and aid mismanagement that often arise in conflict zones.
Right.
But how do they choose which organizations or individuals to partner with? How do they ensure those partners are trustworthy and reliable?
They have a rigorous vetting process, prioritizing organizations and individuals with a proven track record of effectiveness and accountability.
Hmm.
They also emphasize clear communication and regular reporting,
Hmm.
making sure they have a transparent view of how their funds are being used.
It sounds like they're really going above and beyond to be accountable and ensure their contributions are making a real difference.
They are.
I think that's incredibly commendable, especially in such a complex and challenging environment.
Absolutely.
It sets a high standard for other organizations involved in similar efforts.
I agree.
It's about setting a precedent for ethical and responsible giving.
Hmm.
But, there's another fascinating aspect of Ukraine Boost's work that we haven't explored yet.
Okay.
Their advocacy for handwritten greetings.
Right.
It goes beyond simply saying, hey, send more Christmas cards.
It does.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this deeper layer.
They're tapping into something profound about the nature of connection in a digital world. In one of their statements about handwritten cards, they talk about how in today's fast-paced digital world, Christmas greetings often get reduced to quick emails or fleeting social media posts.
Yeah.
It's easy to just fire off a generic message to a whole bunch of people without putting much thought into it.
I'm definitely guilty of that sometimes.
We all are.
But I already sense where this is going. They're advocating for a more mindful, more intentional approach, right?
Exactly. A handwritten card, by its very nature, requires more effort, more thoughtfulness. It's a deliberate act of choosing a card, composing a personal message, addressing an envelope, finding a stamp, and actually mailing it.
Yeah.
And that effort translates into meaning for the recipient.
Okay.
It says, I took the time to think about you specifically. I cared enough to put in the extra effort.
It's a tangible expression of care and attention that simply can't be replicated in a digital message.
That's right.
But they're not just talking about the effort involved, are they? They also highlight how handwritten cards become lasting keepsakes, unlike digital greetings that tend to, disappear into the void of the internet.
That's right. A handwritten card can be saved, cherished, and revisited. It becomes a physical reminder of a connection, a shared moment in time.
Okay.
And there's something special about that tangibility, about being able to hold something in your hand that someone else has touched and written on specifically for you.
Yeah.
It creates a different kind of intimacy than a digital message can.
It's like a little piece of tangible history.
Yes.
A testament to a relationship.
Exactly.
And in a world where so much of our communication is fleeting and ephemeral, that kind of permanence feels incredibly valuable.
It does.
And Ukraine Boost argues that these tangible expressions of connection are vital in a world that's becoming increasingly digital.
They are.
They believe that reviving the tradition of handwritten writings can help us reconnect with loved ones on a deeper level and strengthen those bonds. It's about bringing back a sense of intentionality and mindfulness to our communication, especially during a season that's often so hectic and commercialized.
Right.
But it's one thing to talk about the value of handwritten cards. It's another to actually, make it happen in our busy lives.
Right.
Do they offer any practical tips for how to integrate this into our routines?
They do. They suggest starting small, focusing on a few people who are most important to you,
Okay.
and setting aside dedicated time for writing.
Hmm.
It's about quality over quantity, thoughtfulness over haste.
Hmm.
They also encourage personalizing your messages, sharing a specific memory or anecdote that lets the recipient know you're thinking about them
Oh,
specifically.
that's nice.
Yeah.
And finally, they remind us to embrace the imperfections of handwriting.
Okay, it's the thought and the effort that counts, not the aesthetic perfection.
That's a great point. It's about letting go of the need for perfection and focusing on the genuine connection we're trying to create. Exactly. It's about celebrating the individuality and authenticity of handwritten communication.
Hmm.
And in a world that's increasingly dominated by digital perfection, that kind of celebration of human imperfection is incredibly refreshing.
I love that. It seems like Ukraine Boost is advocating for a more human, more mindful approach to connection,
Yeah.
not just in the context of supporting their cause,
Hmm.
but in our everyday lives as well.
Right.
But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, let's go back to those Christmas cards for a moment.
Okay.
We've talked about their subtle symbolism and the company's commitment to sustainable production.
Right.
But can you tell me a bit more about the specific designs they offer?
Sure.
What kind of imagery are they using to convey these themes of hope and resilience?
One of their most striking designs is the Christmas tree in the forest.
Okay.
It features a majestic evergreen standing tall in a snowy forest clearing,
Hmm.
adorned with twinkling lights and ornaments.
It evokes a sense of quiet strength and beauty, even in the midst of winter's harshness.
Yeah.
And above the tree, the night sky is filled with stars,
Okay.
adding a touch of magic and wonder.
It's a classic image
As this.
that speaks to the resilience of nature, the cycle of seasons,
Mhm.
the promise of renewal even in the depths of winter.
Right.
And in the context of what Ukraine is facing, it's a powerful reminder that even in the darkest of times, hope and beauty can still be found.
Exactly. It's a symbol of enduring strength and the promise of brighter days ahead.
And it's just one example of how Ukraine Boost is using these charming Christmas images to convey a deeper message of solidarity and support for Ukraine.
Mm.
But before we delve into their other designs, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue exploring the visual language of these cards and the impact they're making,
Sounds good.
both in terms of supporting Ukraine and inspiring a more mindful approach to connection.
Great. That Christmas tree in the forest design. Yeah. It's a perfect example of how they're using like classic Christmas imagery to convey a deeper message.
You're right. It's not just about pretty pictures. It's about connecting those warm, familiar feelings we associate with the holidays
Mm-hmm.
to the idea of supporting Ukraine.
Exactly.
But I'm curious to hear about their other designs.
Oh,
What other images are they using to evoke these themes of hope and resilience?
another design that stands out is the boy and girl in snow card.
Okay.
It depicts two children, all bundled up in winter clothes, walking hand in hand towards a beautifully decorated Christmas tree
Hmm.
in a snow-covered village.
Okay.
It evokes a sense of innocence and the promise of brighter days ahead,
Yeah.
which is especially poignant given the difficult circumstances facing Ukrainian children right now.
That's a powerful image. It makes me think about the resilience of children,
Yeah.
their ability to find joy and hope even in the midst of challenging situations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it speaks to the importance of protecting that innocence,
Yeah.
of fighting for a future where all children can experience the simple joys of the holiday season.
It's a reminder that this conflict isn't just about, abstract geopolitical issues. It's
Mhm.
about real people, real families whose lives have been turned upside down.
Absolutely.
And what about the nativity scene?
Oh, okay.
I imagine that image carries a lot of weight for people of faith, particularly during times of hardship.
Absolutely. The nativity design depicts the traditional scene of Mary and Joseph
Right.
with baby Jesus in a manger, surrounded by shepherds, angels, and lambs.
Mm.
There's a soft golden glow emanating from a bright star shining above the stable,
Okay.
symbolizing the guiding light of hope and faith.
It's a classic image that embodies the spiritual significance of Christmas for many people.
Yeah.
And in the context of what Ukraine is going through, it's a reminder of the power of faith to provide comfort and strength during difficult times.
It speaks to the enduring human need for hope, for believing in something bigger than ourselves, even when the world feels dark and uncertain.
And it's interesting to consider how these images might be received by those directly impacted by the conflict, by Ukrainians who are living through this war every day.
That's a great point. I imagine these images could evoke a complex range of emotions for them.
Yeah.
On the one hand, they might serve as a reminder of the beauty and traditions of their culture,
Right.
of the things they're fighting to protect.
But on the other hand,
Yeah.
they might also serve as a painful reminder of what's been lost,
Mm.
of the families separated, the homes destroyed, the lives disrupted by the conflict.
Exactly. It underscores the complexity of this situation,
Right.
the multifaceted impact of war on individuals and communities.
But there's another design that I think is worth mentioning, one that focuses on a more secular aspect of the holiday season, the Christmas village scene.
Mhm.
Tell me more about that one. What kind of imagery does it
The
use?
Christmas village design depicts a bustling village square adorned with festive decorations, twinkling lights, snow-covered rooftops.
Hmm.
There are children playing in the snow, families gathering around a decorated Christmas tree,
Yeah.
and a general sense of warmth and merriment in the air.
It's a classic image that captures the spirit of community and togetherness that's so central to the holiday season.
It is.
And in the context of what Ukraine is going through, it's a reminder of the importance of human connection,
Right.
of supporting one another during difficult times.
It speaks to the resilience of the human spirit,
Hmm.
the ability to find joy and connection even amidst hardship.
Yeah.
And it's a reminder that even though Ukraine is facing immense challenges, their spirit, their sense of community, remains unbroken.
It's a powerful message, and it's one that's conveyed not just through the imagery of these cards, but also through the very act of sending them. As we discussed earlier, Ukraine Boost is advocating for a return to handwritten greetings,
Yeah.
a more mindful and intentional approach to communication. And I think that message resonates even more deeply when we consider the context of this conflict.
I agree. In a world that's often focused on instant gratification and superficial connections,
Yeah.
taking the time to choose a card, write a personal message, and send it through the mail is a powerful act of resistance.
It's a way of saying I'm choosing to slow down, to be present, to connect on a deeper level.
Exactly.
And in the face of a war that's trying to tear people apart, those acts of connection, those expressions of care and solidarity become even more meaningful.
Exactly. It's about choosing love over hate, connection over division, hope over despair.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a reminder that even small actions, when multiplied by thousands, can make a difference.
It all comes back to Christensen's raindrops metaphor.
Yeah.
Each handwritten card, each act of support is like a raindrop, slowly but surely wearing down the stone of indifference and paving the way for a brighter future.
That's a great analogy.
But I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the broader implications of Ukraine Boost's approach.
Okay.
They've managed to create a model that seamlessly blends commerce, social impact, and conscious consumption.
Hmm.
Do you think this model could be replicated for other causes,
Hmm.
or even become a more mainstream approach to business?
That's a fascinating question.
Hmm.
I think Ukraine Boost's success demonstrates a growing consumer desire for businesses to be more than just profit-driven entities.
Right.
People are increasingly looking for companies that align with their values,
Hmm.
that contribute to a greater good,
Okay.
and that operate in a socially and environmentally responsible manner.
It's about a shift in consciousness.
Yeah,
A recognition that our purchasing power can be a force for positive change.
absolutely.
And Ukraine Boost has tapped into that shift, showing that it's possible to create a successful business that's both profitable and purpose-driven.
They've demonstrated that supporting a cause and running a successful business don't have to be mutually exclusive.
Right.
They can be complementary, even synergistic.
Interesting.
And I think that's a powerful message that has the potential to inspire a new wave of socially conscious entrepreneurship.
It's about redefining the role of business in society,
Hmm.
seeing it as a force for good, a driver of positive change.
Yeah.
And it's about empowering consumers to make conscious choices, to support businesses that are making a difference in the world.
It's a win-win situation benefiting both businesses and the causes they support. And it has the potential to create a more just, equitable, and sustainable world.
It's a hopeful vision for the future.
It is.
And it's inspiring to see companies like Ukraine Boost
Right.
leading the way.
Absolutely.
But as we've discussed, it's not just about big companies or grand gestures. Individual actions matter too.
Right.
Even small choices, like choosing to send a handwritten card instead of a digital message, can have a ripple effect,
Yep.
contributing to a larger wave of positive change.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that we all have the power to make a difference in our own unique ways.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about using that power to create a world that reflects our values, our hopes, and our dreams.
That's a beautiful thought to leave our listeners with.
It is.
As we head into this holiday season, let's remember the lessons we've learned from Ukraine Boost.
Okay.
Let's celebrate with intention, give with purpose, and connect with genuine heart.
And perhaps, just perhaps, consider how a simple handwritten greeting might brighten someone's day and contribute to a more hopeful future.
That's a perfect note to end on.
It is.
Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into the world of Ukraine Boost.
It's been a pleasure.
It's amazing how they've woven together all these different ideas, supporting a cause and sustainability and thoughtful communication all through a Christmas card.
Yeah, it shows the power of creativity
Yeah.
and intentionality.
Taking something so familiar
Mm.
and giving it deeper meaning.
Exactly.
But I'm thinking about the symbolism, especially during conflict, We talked about how those cards connect those classic Christmas images to hope and resilience.
Right.
But for someone facing a harsh winter in a war-torn country,
Mm.
those images might mean something totally
I
different.
think you're right. For someone in that situation, a snowy village scene or, warmly lit Christmas tree, it could represent more than just like holiday cheer. It could be a powerful reminder of the beauty and normalcy they're fighting to preserve.
Right.
A symbol of hope for a future where peace and joy return.
Exactly. It's like sending a little beacon of warmth and light to
Mhm.
counter the darkness.
Mhm.
A visual reminder that even amidst hardship, the spirit of the holidays, the spirit of community and hope, it can endure.
And that message goes beyond just the holiday season, right?
Yay.
It speaks to the enduring human spirit,
Hmm.
the capacity for joy and connection.
Even in the face of adversity.
Exactly.
It makes me think about those specific designs we talked about, like that boy and girl in snow card with the children walking to the Christmas tree.
Uh-huh.
It's not just a pretty picture, is it?
No, it evokes a sense of innocence,
Yeah.
and the promise of brighter days ahead, a powerful symbol, especially when you think about a country fighting for its future.
And the nativity scene with its message of hope and faith,
Yeah.
I imagine that image carries a lot of weight for people who find solace in their beliefs during these times.
Absolutely. It's a reminder of the power of believing in something bigger than ourselves,
Yeah.
even when the world feels dark and uncertain.
And those who find comfort in their faith might see it as a symbol of hope for a better tomorrow.
Yeah, they could draw strength and inspiration from that imagery.
And what about the Christmas tree in the forest, standing tall in the snow?
Uh,
It's not just festive.
No, it's a symbol of resilience,
Yeah.
enduring strength.
That image, it speaks to the resilience of nature,
Yeah.
the cycle of seasons, the
Mm.
promise of renewal.
Even in the depths of winter.
It's such a powerful metaphor for hope and perseverance.
It is.
It's like each card has a hidden message,
Mm.
a layer of meaning beyond the surface.
Yeah.
They're not just about spreading holiday cheer, but a message of resilience,
Mm.
hope, and solidarity with Ukraine.
And that message is amplified by sending a handwritten card, right?
Right.
It's a personal touch, another expression of support.
It's another layer of meaning.
Exactly.
As we wrap up, I'm feeling optimistic. Like
Mhm.
even small actions, when they're driven by intention and compassion, they can have a ripple effect.
Yeah.
Ukraine Boost has shown us that we can all be those raindrops
Mhm.
contributing to a larger wave of positive change.
And that's a powerful message to carry with us, not just during the holidays, but all year round.
Yeah.
Whether it's supporting a cause or being mindful of what we buy
Mm.
or simply taking the time to connect with someone.
To really connect.
We can all make a difference.
So this holiday season, let's remember those lessons from Ukraine Boost.
Yeah.
Celebrate with intention, give with purpose, and connect with genuine heart.
And maybe, just maybe, think about how a simple handwritten greeting could brighten someone's day.
And contribute to a more hopeful future.
Exactly.
That's a perfect thought to end on.
It is.
Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into the world of Ukraine
It
Boost.
was my pleasure.